Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our presentation for Automotive Engineering. So the presenters today are Andrea Sirstas. She's a second-year student, so Andrea will be answering a few questions in a few minutes. My assistant presenter, my colleague Bas Gelijns.
Yes. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
And myself, I'm Cynthia Morin. I'm a lecturer in the English program. And of course, Bas will also say a bit more about himself later on. We also have Tony Hoekstra, who's at home. So he will be also answering questions later on through Teams. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to enter them in the chat. We will answer them at the end of the presentation. And you also got a list of frequently asked questions in the email today. So hopefully you've had a chance to read those questions with the answers that come with the questions. And if you have any more questions that are originating from that document or from anything that we talk about today, then please feel free to let us know, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. So, my colleagues will come back later on, so now I will continue. So this is the Fontis. Fontis is a University of Applied Sciences in the Netherlands. We have several locations throughout the Netherlands. All locations have very good study facilities. Some programs are offered on a full-time basis. Other programs are offered on a part-time basis. But overall, the focus is always on getting the best out of our students, and we always help our students to get to where they need to be. Today, the presentation is about automotive engineering, which is one of the 5 departments of engineering at Fontis in Eindhoven. The other 4 departments are mechanical engineering, mechatronics, electrical engineering, and applied mathematics. But again, today, this presentation is about automotive engineering. So in automotive engineering, the degree that you would get is a bachelor's degree. The title is then Bachelor of Science. It's offered either on a full-time basis in Dutch or on a full-time basis in English. The nominal years is 4 years. So in principle, you should be able to get your degree in 4 years. Some people take a little longer. If you failed a few courses, then you can take a little bit longer. But the program is built in 4 years. And I will describe to you the structure of the program in the next few slides. But before I do so, let me tell you about the entrance requirements. If you are Dutch, that is if you've studied in a Dutch school, in high school, then the requirements are that for HAVO, you have to have an NG profile with either physics or NLT, and you can also have an N and T profile. If you have done VWO, then you can have A&M with physics, or NG with physics of NLT, or NT. And you can also come in to us with MBO diploma of level 4. If you are not a Dutch student, then I will be putting this presentation in the chat, and I will also be emailing it to you. So if you want to know what the requirements are for your specific country or your background, so please follow this link, and all the entrance requirements are stated there. And if there are any questions that you may have, please email us, and we will assess on a case-per-case basis. Now, the structure of our program is divided in 4 years. The first 2 years take place in Eindhoven, in this beautiful building where we are here, the Nexus building, which is located on the Technical University of Eindhoven campus. The last 2 years of the program are located in Helmond at the automotive campus, where the 3rd year and 4th year take place. So in the first 2 years, that's where you really build on the theory that you will need to perform in the 3rd and the 4th year. I will then tell you, for example, in the first year, the first 2 years, there are 2 semesters. So these are the blocks that you see here. This represents first semester, second semester, 3rd, and 4th semester. And in each semester, there are 2 periods. Each period is then divided in a block of theory with a number of classes and a project course. So I'm going to go and go furthermore into the structure of these 2 years. So in year 1, we've got semester 1, semester 2. semester 1 as period 1, period 2, semester 2 as period 3 and period 4, and so forth. So by the end of year 2, you've done periods 1 to 8 inclusively. Now, how does a period look like? Well, it's a 10-week block. The first 7 weeks of that block are lectures only, or lectures and practical lessons. At the end of those 7 weeks, then there are obviously 3 weeks left before the end of the 10-week period. And in that first week, right after the 7th week, that's usually a week that you get to study, and the following 2 weeks are then exams. The content of these 7 weeks, the first 7 weeks, is mainly about 60% of theory, of lectures. You also have about 25% of self-study, so where you do your homework, project work, and also studying for exams. And of course, there's also about 15% of practice. Because 3 hours a week, we have a practical course, which takes place here in this workshop where we're located right now. And so this is more or less the distribution of the content of the 7 weeks. Now, the topics that you will be exposed to or learn about in the first 2 years of the program are the following. So you will take courses on power units, drivetrain, vehicle dynamics, applied technology, mechanics and design, materials and manufacturing, heat and fluid, electronic systems, mathematics, and control engineering. And I also put here professional skills. Although it is not a course for which you get a grade, it is a course which you take in, at the same time as our project course. And it's a course where you learn about all the skills that you need to have as an engineer, the soft skills of being an engineer. How do you communicate with other people? How do you work with other people? And you get to know yourself better as a person so that you can be a more productive worker. Now, I told you that we have projects. We worked very much with the projects in our education. The first 2 years, there are 8 APJ projects. APJ stands for Automotive Projects. In the first period, we have APJ1, in the second project, APJ2, and so forth for each period. In the third and the fourth year, that's when we have a lot of projects in collaboration with industry. There are also research projects from within our internal professorship, which Bas will tell you more about in his part of the presentation. But I'm going to focus on the first 8 projects of automotive. So the first year, the very first project is APJ1, and it's called the Lego Mindstorm. So let me just show you a little bit what our students do in this Lego Mindstorm. Can't make it bigger.
Yeah, this time we can.
So this APJ1 project, as you can see, our students build a car made of Legos using the Lego Mindstorm brand of Legos. And this project actually starts in the very first week of our school year, which is the pressure cooker week. And that's the week that takes place just after the Purple Week. And the Purple Week is an introduction week for all of the Fontis students, for all of the faculties. But within automotive, our very first week of school is then the pressure cooker week. So what does that mean? It means that you work in a team. You will build a Lego Mindstorm car. You will learn how to program. And also, you will learn to work together because you have to adapt your car for a whole bunch of different tracks, different requirements and challenges. And we change the challenges on a daily basis. So sometimes you think, oh, we know what we're doing. We know exactly what we're going to do. And the following day, we come in and we throw you a curveball. So you have to be on your toes and ready to learn and to adapt. And at the end of the first week, you will compete with the students. So that's the pre-tournament. And a few weeks later, because at the end of the APJ1 project takes about 6 weeks, then there's a big competition with all the first-year students. And then there are really interesting prizes to win. And then in the second project, APJ2, then you learn how to engineer a truck with truck-mounted crane. So what it is that you are working for a company, which is called the Fontis Truck Factory, and you receive an order from RCV, which is a Random Contained Verhuur. It's a Dutch means, Random is actually, it's the building where we are. Container Verhuur means to rent. So they want to rent containers. So your job is to build a truck with a truck-mounted crane. So, but this company has set a number of requirements for this order. For example, the container has to be able to carry 10,000 kilogram, a load of 10,000 kilogram. What you have to be able to do is to take a container that is stacked on top of 4 containers at a distance of 18 meters from the cabin of the truck. Also, the vehicle will be deployed in the Netherlands, and it has to be able to drive on all road types and in all conditions. So, with your team, you do research, calculations, analysis, and you have to design the very best truck with truck-mounted crane and professionally convince your client of your winning design. And in order to do this, you use some of the knowledge that you've acquired in your AMD, which is a mechanics and design course. So, the physics of it, you will be learning in your AMD course, and of course you have to apply it in this project. And the third project, you will do calculations for 2D and 3D drawings of the crossbeam of a chassis. So what you do is you need to establish the dimensions of the beams of the chassis and that of the construction supporting the crane of the truck, which you've designed in APJ2. And then you use the knowledge from mechanics and design, the mechanics and design course. You need to decide on the dimensions and the quality of the materials used for the construction. You need to apply the drawing techniques learned in mechanics and design. And you will be making 2D and 3D drawings of the crossbeam of the chassis using Siemens NX. Now, Siemens NX is a software used for 2D and 3D drawing, which is also used in the automotive industry. So already in your very first semester in automotive engineering, you're learning how to use software that you will use possibly in your career later on as an engineer. In the fourth project, which is optimization of the chassis, then you make measurements for various chassis loaded in very specific ways. You make a measurement plan focused on bending and torsion, and also you will verify the results of these measurements in calculations and simulations using Siemens NX. And again, Siemens NX is also a program that you use for various simulations that is used by several automotive companies in their daily work. So this was for the first year. And in the first year, the main course that is used to support the projects is mechanical design. But for the second year projects, now you really need to use your knowledge that you've acquired from the last two periods of the first year of control engineering and the first 2 periods of control engineering in the second year. They're very crucial to the success of the APJ5 and APJ6 course, and also for APJ7 and 8. So in APJ5, what you do is you make computer models to minimize usage of fuel, to model and test. And in APJ6, then you will make a computer model of an adaptive cruise control, which you will test on a circuit. So adaptive cruise control, basically, well, a lot of cars have these already. Cruise control, you know, is if you want to keep your distance constant. But what the adaptive cruise control does is that it also adapts to its environment. So if there's a car driving in front of you at 50 kilometers per hour, and your cruise control is set to 80 kilometers an hour, obviously, what the adaptive cruise control will do, hopefully, is it will see that the car in front of you is going slower, so it'll start going slower so you don't create an accident. So our students have to design one of these, and they also have to test it. And I'm going to show you a video of what, that was a couple of years ago, I think, what students did. Whoops, hello. Hey.
ACC aan het testen, oftewel Adaptive Cruise Control. Alle studenten hebben eigenlijk per groepje hebben ze een regelaar ontworpen en die zijn we vandaag eigenlijk hier op de baan aan het testen.
Het begon eigenlijk met de opdrachtomschrijving waar een templateje in stond voor die Prius daar. Hoe dat er ongeveer uit moet zien om daarin te passen. Uiteindelijk is het een beetje rommelen met formules en dan kan je binnen dat templateje dus een regelaar maken die doet wat je wil dat hij doet. Bij de tests digitaal werkte het allemaal zoals het zou moeten, dus we gaan nou ook zien of dit echt ook werkt.
Eigenlijk alle studenten zijn er, die zijn positief, we vinden het een leuke ervaring. Vooral ook om te ervaren als het net niet helemaal goed is gegaan of wat lijkt in de regelaar wel heel mooi te werken, zeg maar, achter de computer. En hier in de praktijk toch net iets anders uit te pakken als gedacht. En die verschillen die koppel je theorie heel mooi aan de praktijk. Uit de feedback van de studenten horen we in ieder geval dat het een waardevolle ervaring is. Dus, en dat doen we tenslotte voor.
Well, I apologize, this video is in Dutch, so for those of you who don't understand Dutch, this was one of our teachers explaining that our students have made simulation, they've programmed an adaptive control, and they were really excited to come and test it on the tracks. And sometimes it works exactly like you planned, and sometimes it doesn't, which is also nice to see if what you've program doesn't always work out, then it really makes you think about, what did I do wrong in my programming? And that's also an excellent learning experience. So, the last two projects of the first 2 years of year 2 are APG7, APG8, and APG7, then you transfer basically all of your knowledge of the first 2 years to design a fuel-efficient vehicle. That's the designing part. And APG8, that's the Echo Marathon, so that's the very last project. So what you do then is you actually build and test the vehicle that you've designed in APG7. And that's when you see, well, did I make my calculations right? And you have to take into consideration that you have a very limited budget to do this. So you have to make a car that's going as fast as possible, that is as fuel efficient as possible, on as, well, not as cheap a budget per se as possible, but with a limited budget. So that was a bit the introduction of what we do in the first 2 years. Now I'd like to tell you a little bit about, well, COVID-19. Have you heard of it? Well, I'm sure you have, but we certainly have. So the thing is, we keep adjusting. Despite the fact that there's this horrible virus that took over the world, we have nonetheless always tried to maximize the amount of time that our students could spend in class with us, despite the fact that we sometimes had to go in lockdown. So we try to make our education continue no matter what. To that effect, I would like to introduce to you Andrea and Tony. They are 2 students, so I would like to ask them some questions. So I'm going to ask a question to Andrea first. So how did you find our program, and what motivated you to apply to study with us?
I have found the program.
Wait, sorry.
I have found the. Can I hold it? Okay. I have found the program to an agency at home in my home country, and what motivated me to study at Thesis is the program itself and the location of the University of Applied Sciences. The program offers a lot of projects, which is very useful. It offers a lot of projects, a lot of you get to apply the knowledge that you get in classes, in practice, and also you have 2 internships, which is very useful for jobs offers and experience.
Great, thank you. How about you, Tony? How did you find our program, and what motivated you to apply to study with us? Do you hear, Tony?
Everyone can see me.
Okay.
But I found out about the study program through my mom, actually. she has somehow, with her work in the past, knew from these courses throughout the Netherlands. There were a few, and for me, it mostly came down to either studying in Rotterdam or in Eindhoven. So I visited both sites, and I don't know. I found the building and the location and the city in Eindhoven just to be a lot better than Rotterdam. So therefore I chose Eindhoven. And I've always been quite into engineering and also cars, so put one and one together. That's why I chose Automotive Engineering.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tony. So how did you guys apply? Did you apply through, you said it was through a specific agency, but...
Yes, but however, you still have to apply whether you use an agency or not. You have to apply through a specific site, which is called StudyLink. Yeah, so you upload all your documents there, and it's pretty easy. Right,
and it's also actually in the frequently asked question document that I sent you attendance today. I also give you the link of the StudyLink in the frequently asked question document, so you can also just go and click on it so that you know, so you can you have the site already in that document. How about you, Tony? Well, obviously you probably applied through StudyLink as well.
Yeah, well, so I'm Dutch, so for me the process is maybe a little bit simpler than for Andrew without the agencies. But using StudyLink, it was the kind of like the same process. You just look for the program there, apply, and then you have to upload some stuff. You have to fill in some forms, and that's kind of it.
Thank you. And actually, there's one more point I want to add to this, because we have two programs. We have a Dutch program called Automotive, and we have an English program called Automotive Engineering. So if you want to study in English, make sure that you choose the Automotive Engineering program and not Automotive. Otherwise, you'll end up having all your classes in Dutch and all your documents in Dutch, and yeah, you might find it a bit more difficult if you don't already speak Dutch. But so Automotive Engineering if you want to come and study in English with us. Andrea, so you're from Moldova, which is a country close by Romania, next to Romania.
Exactly.
So why did you come all the way to the Netherlands and not stay somewhere in Eastern Europe, for example?
Well, overall, the courses are a bit more advanced by quality than in my home country. So yeah, I decided to leave. And also the experience of living in an economically more advanced country is really something that you have to experience.
Very nice. Andrea, so and how are you experiencing living in this country here? Do you like it here?
Yes, I do. I do. It's obviously a bit difficult in the beginning to adjust, but with time, everything is possible, especially that it's such a nice country, and there's no way you can't get used to the people here. And yeah, there's a lot of international students also, which makes everything a lot easier.
Yeah, I'm also from a different country. I'm Canadian, and I also found when I first came to the Netherlands, it just felt like home, and everything seems is so well organized. The Dutch people are really well organized people, and wherever you go, whether it's shopping, everything just works like clockwork most of the time. So I think it's a really nice place to come in and live and study. Tony, so you are Dutch, and you actually started with us in the Dutch program during the first semester. So can you tell us about your motivations for switching to automotive engineering in English as opposed to staying in the Dutch program?
So before I actually joined or started the first year, I was debating between the Dutch and the English course, and then I decided to join the Dutch course based on the fact that I think I'd have more connection to my classmates because they'd also be Dutch rather than international. But soon in the Dutch course, I realized that I actually wanted to know all the information in English because I wasn't really planning, or still not planning on working in the Netherlands when I'm done with this. So having all my knowledge of everything, of the engineering, of the cars, all the names certain specific parts of engines and all that kind of stuff. I need to know it in English, and rather than keep translating it, and so that's why I decided to switch to the English course.
Okay, so, and you also just mentioned, you said, I wanted to join the Dutch program because I felt I would connect better as opposed to the international students. But you've been now with us in the English program for a year or so, right? So you, almost a year. Two periods. You've completed 3 periods with us in the English program. So how is that then to be a Dutch student with a bunch of international students?
It's interesting, but I like it. There's a lot of cultural differences between everyone. There's people from all over the world, and I'm actually really into that. Rather than, so I kind of misjudged the fact that I'd have more connection with the Dutch people because I already know Dutch people. I know what they're like. I know what they do, how they think, whatever. And with people from different countries, it's very different. They think differently. They behave differently, and I don't know. I like it. So
would you say you adapted to them, or they adapted to you, or you adapted to each other?
Well, I definitely adapt to them, and I hope, or I think they adapt to me as well, because I just think that'd be a mutual beneficial relationship.
It is, yes. Okay, thanks. Andrea, are you part of an international community, students association? Do you have contacts with other Moldovans studying in Eindhoven?
Well, actually, I have had the luck of another student being from Moldova. So we're very good friends now. But about the associations, not really. But I did do an intro week in the beginning of
the
study.
Week.
Yes, the Purple Week, which was really fun. You get to meet a lot of people, also all over the world, and you should definitely do it because it's a lot of fun.
Good. Yes. Antonia, are you part of an international community of student association? Do you have time for that?
Not per se, but I am part of 2 student sport associations, which are sport associations, but not just from Fontes. They are also from the university. Mm-hmm. So people that are students here, they can just join those associations. And one of them is called Avalanche, and they focus more on boarding sports, so like snowboarding, skating, and surfing. So I'm really into snowboarding, so that was a no-brainer for me. And then the next one is Feyenoord, which is a tennis association. I also like playing tennis quite a bit, so I joined that this year as well. Okay,
excellent. Thank you. So another question now about COVID. So you guys started on your studies in COVID times, in the thick of it. When you started, it was mostly COVID.
Yes.
You didn't start before, you started right in the middle of it. So can you tell the audience how your lessons have been taking place during the course of year 1 and year 2? If you can compare how it went from year 1 and year 2, Andrea?
Yes, in the beginning, everything was hybrid. So we had lessons online, also on campus. We had practical, mostly on campus, and also the project works. So we did have a chance to meet everybody. Of course, not every day, but still, it was some sort of socializing.
Right, and so the theory lessons were online and everything practical and project work was on site. And this year, how is it in comparison this year?
Oh, it's much better. This year we do everything on site, and I hope that doesn't end.
Yeah, we hope it continues.
Yes, and it's much better for me personally because I like going every day to school, and it's much more motivating.
Yeah, thank you. And about you, Tony? Do you want to tell us more about how it was last year in comparison to this year?
This year is definitely better, way better, because last year most of the classes were online, and studying at home or following a lesson at home compared to in class is night and day difference.
Yeah.
The focus is there a lot more. You can just ask a question through someone's explanation without there being some kind of weird internet lag through the Teams meeting, and you can get a lot more hands-on experience. So this year it's definitely a lot better. I hope we don't go back to the online lessons anymore, the Corona stuff, but
yeah, we're not planning on it. We're hoping to keep trying to be as on-site as possible. Is there anything else you would like to add to tell the potential students?
Yes, to the future students, Thesis is a great option, and especially automotive engineering. And if you're motivated and hardworking, you'll definitely have success.
Thank you. Tony?
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing about the sport associations. They aren't just in Dutch. Both of my sport associations, all the information you get from the board members, etc. And all the group chats, they're all in English because they have a lot of international students already. My tennis lessons are in English as well, so most likely for other sports associations this is also the case, because there is a lot of international students here, so there's a lot of support for them. So
great, thank you very much, Andrea and Tony.
Thank you.
And if you have more questions at the end, if people have questions, maybe they'll have questions for you as well.
Okay.
So we'll come back to you. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. So the second part of our presentation will be done by my colleague Bas Gelijns, and so Bas will tell you more about the third year and the fourth year of the program, and I will walk away.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, let's first introduce myself. My name is Bas Gelijns. I'm working as a teacher at Automotive and Automotive Engineering, doing mainly things with the third year and fourth year students, so the last part of the study. I also work at the Lectoraat Future Powertrain. Lectoraat is a research group that is conducted by Thesis, where we do research projects in cooperation with industry, other research institutes, and of course with you, the students that work there. Not going too deep into the Lectoraat, but more into the fourth year. When we look at the fourth year, first go back one sheet, giving a little bit overview. Cynthia told everything about this part. This part gives you the base. This gives you the base to get into your professional life. The second part of the study is more into your professional life, to become a real engineer. What you also see in that second part of the study, the last part of the study, you are more in control. In the first part, we give you an exercise, and you have to complete that exercise, hand it over, and it will be graded, and you get a figure back. In the second part, you will get an assignment, you get a problem, and you have to think about it yourself, how to solve this problem. So it's not all step by step prescribed, but you have to think yourself about the steps. So that's the big difference between the first two parts, first 2 years, and the last 2 years of your study. Looking in the third year, you go into what Cynthia said, you first start with an internship. I go to that into detail later. Then the second part is into a minor. A minor you can do within Thesis Automotive, or you can also do it outside the Thesis Automotive. I will give some more details later. Then you go into a specialization, where you make a choice between green mobility and smart mobility, the two, let's say, key challenges we face as automotive engineering. And then as last, you do your final project, you do your graduation project, and most times you do that at a company or at a research department at the Lectoraat with Thesis. So going into the third year, you see here a little nice picture with some examples. You also see here one of the cars we use in the third year, but first we go into the internships. An internship is a period of 90 days. Most times you're going to work at a company. You get an assignment, and in that assignment you have to think a little bit about how to solve the problem, but the path is more or less predefined. The main goal of that internship is to get used to work in a professional environment. At school, yeah, sometimes you have classes, sometimes not, sometimes you stay home, sometimes not. But when you are working in a company, you start at a certain time, most time 8:30 or something like that, maybe 8 o'clock, and you work whole day. And you're not going to do in between a little bit of gaming or other things to distract your mind. No, you keep on working. And to make that switch from school to full-time working is sometimes a hard challenge to get. But when you have that, then you have a little bit the feeling how it goes in a real company. That's one thing. The assignments we get, or that you get from the industry, they are really things that the industry needs. Before Fontis, I worked in the industry. What I did is we had several challenges we needed to fulfill in our company. And we said, okay, we make an assignment, we get a student, they have full focus on it and they can spend some time on it and to give us an answer where we can get happy of. So when you do an internship, most time the company will get happy when you come to a solution. And if the solution solves the problem or says there is no solution for the problem, it's not so important, but then the company knows what they can continue with a project or with the development of a product or whatever. But that is always, your work is important for the companies. And sometimes people get invited back later when they are at the end of the studies. The companies come back when they have finished their internship and say, hey, do you want to come to work for us? Because you were such a nice intern student. Yeah, I have some examples over here. I don't go too deep into all of them. But for instance, Bosch transmission technology, they make drive belts for a continuous variable transmission. Now those things are used all over the world. You see a lot of companies in the Far East that use those components. But they have all kind of research questions and they get students from us to solve research questions on the production side or on the development side, on the testing side. That are jobs we have in, for instance, at Bosch. They are located in Tilburg. Another thing is an example that we found is something completely different. Is a company is developing a submarine and they had some questions and they said, okay, we want to have a system to balance that submarine. And can you make a design of it? Now that student made a design and they continued with that. Another thing, completely different also, is from Ebusco. Ebusco is a company, it's located in Deurne, about 20 kilometers from here. And it's an emerging company. It's going up and getting more people. And they are really hitting the road with their electrical buses. They have other kind of construction than conventional buses. And they wanted to set up a new production plant for the new carbon fiber electrical bus. And they asked students from us to work on that. So that are kind of jobs that we have. All this interesting thing, we have a lot of student teams here in the neighborhood. We have at the GOE from some student teams, they do university racing. And this is a student team in motion that is located in Helmond at the automotive campus. And they have as a challenge to build a 24 hours of Le Mans racing car. And now they have all kind of internships. This is an example about the cooling system for the battery charging system to make sure that you can charge a battery as fast as possible. Here they have already worked it out that it can do it in 7.5 minutes from a capacity from 20 to 100% of the battery. But their goal in next year is to have it in, or the year after next year, is to have it all completely charged in 2.5 minutes. It's very funny to work there. Sometimes I meet those guys and I see they have a very nice team. but also there you can do internships. Now, that was one part, so that was the first semester of the third year. The second semester of the third year is most students are doing their minor there. Now, you can do a minor as a goal to develop yourself or to go a little bit more in the depth, to be more specialist on a subject, or to be more broad, that you learn something about a subject that is not completely automotive. We have students doing a minor on education. We have students doing a minor on Spanish language. We have students doing a minor on English language. That's all possible. But here we have a few minors, I will give an example, that are connected to automotive engineering. We have ourselves the minor electrical drive, and we have the minor motorsport engineering. And we have also a minor we do together with the Han Automotive. That is a minor on where you do a program that you can make an easy transfer from the bachelor to technical university master studies. First, I want to tell you a little bit about the minor electrical drive. Now, the minor electrical drive is basically about all you need to know to build an electrical vehicle. So you get theory courses, and they are short, not long, extensive, but short. You have to learn and to find out a lot of information yourself, but we do a crash course of 6 weeks that you learn everything about the electrical vehicle. In the meantime, in parallel, you start to develop in a project, and a project is linked to one of our student teams that we are now setting up to compete in the World Solar Challenge. On the left you can see the vehicle, that the chassis of the vehicle they are building. So last year the team, they designed the chassis and they built the chassis. They developed a battery package and they developed some other parts also on the solar part of the vehicle, on the solar cells. They developed all kinds of subsystems, and that project continues. Every half year we have a new group with technical students working on it, and in the meantime we also have a group of students who are doing more the team management and to set up and to think about the long term of the project. But that is all in the minor electrical drive. Another minor, and is also very interesting, is the minor motorsport engineering. You saw already probably the MX-5 racing car over here. That is one of the projects, but in the minor we also do other projects where all those students do a project or for a racing team or developing a racing car. They also have the same kind of structure as a minor electrical drive. You get 6 weeks of classes and courses on all kind of theoretical subjects that are related to motorsport engineering, coming from engines to vehicle dynamics to air resistance and all those kind of things you need to know to build a racing car. In the end, most time this minor is finalized with a track day where we are going to test the systems we developed. Another minor that you can do is what I told about, is the PreMaster, where you can make the transition between the Thesis bachelor education and the TUE master education. You get courses on calculus, on mechanics, etc. All those kind of things you need to learn to get in a good transfer. We do it in cooperation with the TUE, of course, and yeah, students. I see now every year about between 5 to 7 students from Thesis doing that, and they also make the transfer to TUE and they gain 1 year of study. So that's nice. This is all about the third year. Now we're coming to the fourth year. The fourth year first starts with the specialization. Specialization has basically 2 goals. Is first also to professionalize yourself more to be working in a full-scale project team, where you come from the start, where we use the V-cycle approach, where you say, okay, I start with requirements, and in the end I have a system that's working. That's what your project is all about. So that is one part of it, and you get more knowledge about the subject that you chose. You can choose or smart mobility, where you can think about systems used in cars like lane keeping assist, adaptive cruise control, all those systems that you now already see in cars. They are now getting more and more normal, and we need people that can develop the next level of those systems. In future powertrain, we work on electrification, we work on hydrogen engines, etc. All those kind of subjects come up, and we do projects with that, and we do also the theoretical courses with that. Dus the first thing is to get to know in a professional project, but it's also a preparation for the last part of your study. Also to see how you can do your graduation project. Brings me to the last part. The final part of your study is to do a thesis. Now you also work most times in industry or in a research group of Fontis. You have a period of 90 days and emphasis on research or testing or also construction realization. And it can also be that it is on realizing a vehicle system, but also a production line. And I also see graduation projects where we do work on production engineering, where we do optimization of a production line using Six Sigma kind of methods to do that. Important thing, last rule is here, you choose. So what you need to do, we don't say you go to this company or you go to that company. No, you have to do it yourself with a little bit of help to get you introduced, is to go to the company, say, hey, I want to go, for instance, at your company and I want to do this or this job. Is that possible? And those companies, we stay in close contact with them. We have a large network of companies that are offering graduation jobs. They come to us and say, do you have a good student that can solve this problem? So it's more an interaction between you choosing and the companies offering. Few projects that have been in the past years is one thing was for the VPAL, that was a flying car. There was a student developing a safety feature in the rotor of that. Another one was for a company where they make the chassis for that can be towed by large trucks that needed to have a chassis lowering. They made an alternative construction instead of welding, and all calculated on strength and stress, and also on life cycles. And yeah, the result was less production time and a better quality of the system. This was a final thesis where a student did the work on testing a start-stop system at DAF trucks. This is more theoretical, but also combined with testing in the actual test center of DAF. Now, what can you do later? Now, you can have different kind of jobs. What I said, most times people think about engineer, you get in a technical job, but that is not always the case. You can go into, let's say, more in a specialization, that you are more like a designer or a builder, product engineer, process engineer, test engineer, but also you can become a project manager or a team leader or a technical director, or sometimes even when you have more commercial genes in yourself, you're good at selling a product or explaining about the product, you can be account manager, sales engineer or consultant. That are the kind of jobs that you get into. Yeah. So this was my part of the story. Cynthia will take over and finish this part of the story. Thank you, and hopefully I see you next year.
Thank you very much, Bas, for
Thank
a
you.
very nice explanation of the third and the fourth year of our program. So I will finish off by giving you some more explanation of the types of services that we offer to our students in general in the first 2 years. So what kind of student are we looking for? Obviously, we're looking for someone who has a passion for technology. I think it's been made clear from the explanations from Bas. The different types of project we have, they're very much technologically advanced and involved. We need people who are curious, who are very fast at adapting to different environments. We want people who are go-getters, who are going to go after a problem and are going to try their best to solve it. Someone who's also able to see connection across various fields of engineering, because you're never going to be doing only one tiny little thing and one thing specifically. You have to be able to see how parts of mechanical engineering is combining with electrical engineering so that you can talk to each other with the other people involved in your project, so you understand each other, so you can solve the problem more efficiently. And we need, obviously, people who are able to look at the wide scope of mobility. We offer different services. For example, you have a study coach. I'm a study coach for the international students who started last year. So not for Andrea, but I'm Tony's study coach, for example. And this is, you get one study coach for the period of 4 years. So that same person that if you have questions that you can go to, if you are having a difficulty of any sort, you always have that one person you can rely on. Beta Ritme is an association here in engineering. They can help you with planning, with motivation issues, with study habits. There's also Innovum, which is the Engineering Student Association. You can get help there for various things. I'm going to have a slide later on about Innovum. If you have more serious psychological issues, then you can contact a dean, and they will put you in contact with a psychologist to help you. If you have dyslexia or any other type of issues, we can also help you with that. If you have dyslexia, for example, you're allowed to have, I think it's 20% extra time on your exams, but you have to apply and prove to the certain board that you have you've proven dyslexia, and then usually it's no problem and you get extra time on your exams. Obviously, Tony told us about a bunch of activities that he's doing, but there's also activities that you can do at Fontis, their student association Innovum. They can help you with help in your studies. You can get a buddy there to help you study. They also have athletic activities, but also all sorts of fun activities. But they also pay special attention to foreign students. We also have other services, for example, access to sports center at the TUE, like Tony mentioned. There are sports centers there. I'm not sure if it's free or it's actually really cheap anyway for Fontis students. We have a website portal that you can use from home. You can have access to affordable software at surfspot.nl, but you also have free software also. There's a number of free software available from our Fontis website. You get discount on your study books and also free access to university libraries. So why else would you want to study at Fontis? Well, first of all, also because we offer very small scale classes, maximum 30 students per class. We have very well-equipped labs. You see some of it here, but it extends a little further here. We have also a very good one-on-one approach to students. We are there for our students. Automotive has an international work field. We are a stone's throw away from Helmond, the automotive campus, where most of the automotive companies in the Netherlands are located. We have committed lecturers, and also it's just really a nice, pleasant atmosphere to work and study at. If you would like to meet us in person and come and visit this workspace here, there will be an open day on-site here on November 27th. So once you have the presentation, you can click on that link here, you'll see this window open, and you can choose here, choose a program of your interest, choose automotive engineering, and you can register for coming to visit us. So there are a number of 2-hour slots. I don't know if they're still available, but you can try. Yeah, so there will be a maximum number of 75 people per 2-hour slot, and if it is so that we have too many people, we might be able to open our our location in Helmond to accommodate people there as well. So finally, I'd like to thank you for your attention, and if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and we will be happy to answer your questions. Thank you for your attention. No questions. It's quiet. So I guess if it's maybe it's very comprehensive. So if you have any other questions, well, we'll stay open for another 5 minutes or so. So if you don't think of any questions now, you feel free to always. You've received my email today, so feel free to send them in the email, and I will either answer them, or if I don't know the answer to your question, I will find someone who can give you an answer to your question. So Brian says, thanks, it was very interesting and clear. Thank you. Hello, my question would be if there is a limit on how much students can join you next year. No, we don't have a limit on the number of students. We adapt, however, how many students we have, if provided that you have the required courses and background to join our education program, we always accept the students. We just then have to hire more people to teach. Can we move the camera to have a quick tour of the workshop? Sander, can we do that?
Yeah, no, not really. I can see if I can create a different shot, but I can't really move that.
Okay, we're gonna try. Not really.
I can give you this angle that you're not going to see more.
Yeah, we're not gonna see that much more. It's no, the answer is no. Sorry. So, next time, come to visit us on site. There will be other on-site open days, hopefully. Sorry. Thank you for your presentation. I will write to you about requirements for IB diploma. For the IB diploma, I will send the presentation in the chat or in the email. And if you click on the link where I say requirements, all the IB diploma requirements are on the website. I've heard TUE offers a master's program in automotive technology in partnership with Fontis. How does that work exactly? Well, that's exactly the program that Bas was just telling us about. There's a minor program. You can do it in 2 different ways. So either during the minor, if you do the minor TUE automotive, so that means that at the end of your 4-year program, if you've succeeded in that minor, at the end of your 4-year program, you can go into the master's in automotive right away. If you have not done that minor, it is also possible to do the master's, but then you have to do a bridging year at the TUE after your bachelor's degree. But it is also possible to complete the bachelor's, do a 1 year, and then you are allowed to start the master's. Maybe a YouTube video sometime in the future to take a look at the workshop. We do have a YouTube video.
I can share it.
And it will be shared in the chat. You're going to share it in the chat? Awesome. So yes, thanks for asking. Now you will be getting a YouTube video of the workshop shared in the chat. Any other questions? Don't be shy. Okay, I think, so, fantastic presentation, very comprehensive. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. So, it's 7 o'clock, so in principle, our presentation is finished. As I said, if there are more questions, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I would like to thank Andrea and Tony for joining us today. What are the accommodations options for international students? It's in the frequently asked question document that I sent today. There is a link that says accommodation. So if you go to the fontis.edu website, you can, or no, Fresh at Fontis. It's one of the links that I put. It's a Fresh at Fontis website. There's a link there that says how you can have access to, you can apply for accommodations for international students. Did you apply for accommodations for international students?
No, I booked privately.
You booked privately, okay.
That's also an option.
But that's also an option, yeah. But Fontis can also help. Okay. Well, you're welcome. It was our pleasure to give this presentation. So thank you very much, Bas, as well. And Sander for doing the YouTube and the filming. We have an expert. No, please don't mention it. Okay, well, thank you very much. And have a good evening or afternoon, wherever you are and calling us from today. Thank you very much.